Hello everyone. My name is Rosie and I am the calligrapher behind Wandercrafter. I'm also the creator and the coach of the Craft Academy, which is a program that's specifically designed to take you from zero clients and, feeling really stagnant with your calligraphy business to actually booking your dream clients. And it's complete with all the templates for pitches, emails, brand decks, and contracts so you can actually book with confidence and actually get that consistent cash flow. So I'm super excited because I have Jessica on, and she's the artist behind Ink and Rhythm Calligraphy, and she's known for her light and airy aesthetic, and she's been able to work with amazing brands like Bristol Farms and Hammett, and she actually just completed a wood burning activation there. So I'm excited to dig into that. Like I mentioned before, she's actually one of the very first students of the Craft Academy, and she invested very early on in her business and even in the program before it was even a complete program. So I'm incredibly thankful for her, giving the trust into me, because the Craft Academy wouldn't be what it is today without her. So without further ado, Jessica, do you want to tell us about your journey to entrepreneurship?
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Jessica. I am the owner and calligrapher behind Ink and Rhythm Calligraphy. I started doing calligraphy back in 2017 as kind of like a stress relief, creative outlet, something that I can put myself into and call it a hobby. So I finally had a hobby that was super exciting, and I worked in a field where I did PR gifting, so I was able to utilize that new skill with PR gifting, and I did gift tags, envelopes for friends and family. Fast forward to 2020 though, I really honed in on that skill with the pandemic and all that downtime. So I fell in love with pointed pen calligraphy, and around that same time I got really interested in the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retiring early, which we've talked about, Rosie. I wanted to set aside that money for my future without having to really sacrifice too much of my lifestyle at the same time. So this was actually something that was supposed to be my side hustle, but I fell in love with it so much that I registered my business shortly after, and a few months later I joined the Craft Academy to help me figure out what the heck to do and what.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, because I also started my calligraphy business to help pay off my loans and eventually turn into the FIRE goal. And now it's like become my full-time business. So it's crazy how these incredible journeys, especially honing in on your creativity, can help you live a more fulfilled and awesome life. Yeah. So tell me I know we have like a kind of a long journey to kind of go through since we've known each other for a couple of years now, but what is your current offering with Ink and Rhythm?
Currently, I am doing live events, calligraphy, engraving, and now, as you said earlier, pyrography.
Yeah. And you also work at a full-time job. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I am a regulatory affairs specialist for a skincare company called Drunk Elephant. For those of you that don't know what regulatory affairs is, in short, it's pretty much ensuring that products are compliant from an ingredient, packaging, and marketing copy standpoint.
Okay, so totally different than calligraphy, like completely 180.
Has nothing to do with calligraphy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So take us back to like when you first started Ink and Rhythm, you were working at your full-time job. What did that look like for you on a daily basis?
It just looked like chaos. I'd be working, my 9 to 5, which was really 7:30. At that time, it was a long day, so 7:30 to 6. At night, I would just do calligraphy, pack orders. At that time, I was doing Etsy. So I would just do the orders as I go. Whenever I would receive one that same day, I would fulfill those orders.
Okay. So you said you didn't have any structure. Did you just you got orders and then you completed them and you did it all over again, like every single time you got an order?
Yeah. It was
okay.
Also DIYing the whole business aspect. So at this time, I really didn't know what I was doing. So I'd be watching YouTube videos, going online, looking at articles, trying to figure out what to do, but by myself, on my own. I didn't know who to ask. It'd be a lot of YouTube videos at night while fulfilling orders.
Okay, so that sounds like every beginner calligrapher's life. I feel like you're looking into mine as well. What was your like average income like back then?
Rosie, we talked about this when we had our first call. I was making just hundreds. For me, that was an extra 100 that I didn't already have. So I still saw it positive, but you know, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I was completely undercharging. And we also talked about in our very first discovery call about ideal clients, which is something I hadn't even thought of. So
yeah,
it was something that was really beneficial, and I really valued that during the program.
And if I recall correctly, I think you were selling like place cards and gift tags on Etsy for like $1.25.
Yeah, for $1.25, because I was thinking, what would I pay for these? And I'm like, $1 seems kind of expensive, right?
I mean, it sounds actually $1 per card sounds really good in the very beginning because again, it's a dollar that you wouldn't have had if you didn't sell it. But then when you break it down, what was your profitability?
It like cents, but per order, it was just a couple dollars per order.
Okay.
So it wasn't a lot. And if you break that down even further per hour, pennies.
Yeah, and then even when you're taking into account like the cost of the place card, the Etsy fees, the shipping fees, and all the sales tax that you have to do as well, that really does break it down into pennies per place card, like you said.
Yeah, all those hidden costs that you don't think about when you start a business, they kind of just all appear, and you're kind of either breaking even or at the negative.
Yeah.
Pretty much
so
just like my materials at that point.
That's true. Yeah. So do you feel like you were closer or like making some kind of stride towards your fire goal at that time?
Not at that time, but I felt like it was something, and I felt like I could figure it out eventually, but I needed to make a change. There's something that I had to do in order to get there.
So thinking back to what it used to look like, what were some of the bigger goals that you had for your business other than the fire goal?
I wanted to launch my website, and at the time I started really early with your program. This was like my very first year in business. I wanted to find my niche. So that year, 2021, I did everything. I wanted to do everything to see if I would like anything that I did. So that's kind of why I didn't start engraving until early this year. But yeah, I really wanted to find a niche, and I wanted to launch my website and pretty much figure out what the heck to do with that I just started.
So then why did you decide to invest in a brand new program? Because at the time it was just an idea for me. It was like, oh, I want to help calligraphers and I don't really know how, but I know a little bit of business. What made you feel like I was the right person to coach you at that time?
The fact that you were very personable helped a lot, during our very first call. And even before that, I sought out calligraphers who were in my area. So I was following calligraphers who are from Orange County, LA, kind of seeing what they do and kind of to see what I could do with my business too. And I saw you were already doing live events, and I thought to myself, I love that idea. I'm not able to do that by any means, but I would love to do that someday. And I made that my goal by the end of 2021. But when we first had our call, it helped that you were very personable, and also your history and your background, where you came from, is similar to mine, and what you were teaching all came from experience, which was super helpful because any questions I had, you had already been through. Yeah, it helps a lot having a mentor who's been where you are and knows where you want to go and can help you get there. I kind of feel like investing in any kind of mentor can help you shortcut a lot of time. And, time is a currency that we can't really get back. You can't buy more time, you can't make more time, but you can certainly shortcut some of that timing when it comes to building a business. Fast forward to today, almost 2 years later, what were some of like the biggest changes that you've experienced since you joined the program? The biggest changes. So You were telling me to get an engraver for a full year until I actually got one. I think that was a really big change for me because I didn't want to start a new skill that I wasn't ready for at the time. So that's a really big change for me this year because I just started doing that January, February of this year, and it's a really big part of my business now. And if it weren't for you that year, I don't know that I would even be doing it yet. Because it was so intimidating and so discouraging. But for those of you who haven't engraved or are intimidated, trust me, it gets better with practice and time. But it took a while. It took a while. It was shortly after that I started pitching out to Bristol Farms, had a deck portfolio ready for them because of what I've been practicing, and that's how I landed that Bristol Farms job a few months ago for Father's Day.
Yeah, and then for Father's Day, that was for engraving purely, right?
Yes, that was only engraving, but it was on different surfaces. So it was both on liquor bottles and household items. So it was also hydro flasks, metal containers.
Metal containers. Okay, cool. And then shortly after that, you had another activation with the wood burning. Was this something that you had already known how to do for a while, or did you just like pick it up and learned it?
No, I had no idea. So after the Bristol Farms engraving event, that second day that I did the event, I bought the wood burning tool and had told the marketing associate that I was going to get one and I would love to do it for the holidays. But she had asked me beforehand if I had already done it, but I was actually looking that day to get one. So it was just very coincidental. I ended up buying it that day and I was just practicing, and 1 month later I ended up getting a call back from Bristol Farms asking if I was available that week to do wood burn.
Oh my gosh. So it literally went from like 0 to 100 with this pyrography thing.
Oh yeah, I didn't feel ready. You know that imposter syndrome kicks in, and I was just practicing for fun, no pressure. I didn't think that I would get one of those gigs until the holidays because I hadn't even started pitching myself.
So I think there's a lot of people right now who are learning new skills like bottle painting, pyrography, engraving. What recommendations would you give to someone who is learning a brand new skill but wants to pitch that to a new client?
Practice on all the surfaces that you can, and kind of see yourself and see what could go wrong, and just practice being in front of people while doing it as well, and kind of workshop it that way. And you'd be able to take content while you practice so that by the time you feel like you're ready to pitch, you'll have a whole deck and brand book of what you're capable of doing for these live events.
Yeah, and Jessica has also mentioned the brand deck a couple of times. That is one of the templates that we do have for the Craft Academy. So when you're ready to pitch a brand new service, we make sure that you are ready and that you don't have to start from scratch. So don't feel like you're going to be by yourself for any reason, because we really have your back in these cases. So do you feel like you were ready to do the pyrography event when you actually got there?
Yes and no. So when I received that call, that email, I questioned myself first. And then a few minutes later, I was like, yeah, I can do this. I just need to practice. And and then I did it. Once I got there, that day that I got there, I was able to practice a little more on the samples that they actually had, which made me feel a little bit more comfortable, because if anybody has ever worked with wood, they're all very different. They all take heat very differently. All the surfaces, whether they're finished or not, they burn very differently. So I was very fortunate to been able to practice on site as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So, you've gotten a couple live events under your belt. You know exactly where you want to go now. Where do you see yourself going with your business, and how is the Craft Academy continuing to help you achieve those goals?
Yeah, I want to do more live events. So more of these live events. I realized that this year of doing live events has been something that brings me joy, something that I want to continuously do. And with that, that does take time. That takes away, weekends, things like that. To kind of counterbalance that, I do want to leverage digital products in the future, just because I still do have a corporate job that I have to attend to during the day. It's actually my lunch.
Well, thank you for spending lunch with us.
Of course. But yeah, so I want to be able to do that where I have a digital product base, but also doing live events. And the Craft Academy is also really helpful because there's so many individuals who are in there that are so talented and have already done the things that I want to potentially do, or are currently doing that. So I love that it's such an open community and everyone is so friendly and willing to give advice and give feedback, honest feedback, because I don't need someone to tell me like, oh, that's good when it's not. And so that's something that I really value with the Craft Academy too. Like everyone is super gracious with their time, and I value everybody's opinions in there. So it's been great.
I love it. Do you feel like you've been able to achieve some of your goals in FIRE these days since we've pivoted your business from a product-based business to a service-based?
I think, that does help me to save more money in the long run. I haven't been able to dive into more of like the bigger picture goals, but just as far as saving for FIRE has been tremendous help. I think from where I was in November 2020 to now, I've been able to save a lot more than I have been back then.
Yeah. And would you mind sharing what you charge these days? Because, before you were charging $1.25 place card. What is your current rate right now?
So for hourly for engraving, I charge $175 per hour, and same thing with pyrography. So I just do the same thing for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, they're both like very highly rated skill sets. Like I have never burned anything before, so I would probably call you when I start to learn that. So, just as a recap, she was charging $1.25 for one place card, and I think I calculated it back at maybe a couple months ago for a TikTok video. On average, she was probably getting about $16 an hour. And now she's able to charge $175 per hour. And now she's working with these amazing brands. And I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but the Craft Academy really does make a difference in so many calligraphers' lives. And we've been able to help calligraphers pivot their business from making very low profits to actually making the financial income that they have set out for. So what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about investing in themselves or a program like this?
Yeah, I would say understand what your goals are and how badly you want to achieve those goals. Because when you invest in yourself, you're more likely to achieve those goals and conquering those goals that you have set out for yourself. It's not going to work unless you do. So with investing this money into a program, it's not an automatic win. It's not going to work unless you do the modules, you do the worksheets, you ask for advice, input, participate, because otherwise, if you're not willing to do the work, then it's just a waste of money, and it's a lot of money that is going down the drain. It's not just something that you can buy. It's something that you have to really put your time into. Yeah,
exactly. And building a business takes a lot of dedication, a lot of work, and it takes time. Even with all of the modules that we provide, you still have to do a lot of work on the back end because you're essentially building a business from scratch. So you really do have to put in the work in order to reap the benefits. I honestly am so honored to have been able to know and mentor Jessica for almost 2 years now. And I am so proud of the growth that she's experienced and how much she's actually pivoted her business into one that she loves and it's profitable so that she can reach some of those fire goals that she set out to do 2 years ago. It's just been an incredible transformation so far. So if the Craft Academy is something that you have been thinking about, or you feel like this program resonates with where you are with your business, I would love to talk to you and get to know some of the problems and struggles and challenges that you're having with building your business. So book a call with me and then, we can take it from there.
Thank you so much, Rosie. Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me be part of your very first cohort. And
oh my gosh.
better.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your time. I hope you can go enjoy lunch a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.